In a world where failing marriages and toxic relationships have become the societal norm, relationship expert Love McPherson is the voice of hope that says, I was born for this. She is a passionate author, captivating speaker, and engaging media personality on a mission to impact generations and heal relationships by teaching individuals how to love better. In 2010, she founded her relationship coaching company, Love Infinity Inc., which has allowed her the opportunity to make a global impact, speaking to national and international audiences such as T.D. Jakes Ministries, Northwestern University, DePaul University, the Black Women's Expo, as well as various small businesses and nonprofit organizations. Love brings over 2 decades of experience as a mental health professional to her vast audience. Love says her greatest success by far is being the wife to Anthony McPherson, her husband of 37 years and vice president of Love Infinity Inc. Together, they have 2 beautiful daughters, Tiffany McPherson, her executive assistant and brand manager, and Krista McPherson. When Love isn't on the speaking circuit or conducting private coaching sessions, you can find her dating her husband and enjoying family time at their South Loop Chicago condo. It is our pleasure to welcome Love McPherson.
Hello, everyone. It is such an honor to be here today. I am excited to talk to you about getting your relationships right, okay? And so I want to make sure that you understand all that is. And what I really want to talk to you about is what I want to talk to you all about is how we are shaped, what messes up our mind when it comes to relationships. There are several things that can mess up our minds. It's how we feel about ourselves, our childhood, things like that can actually affect how we feel about ourselves. But today I want to talk about something that actually starts with a lot of young girls at an early age. And you know what it is? It's fairy tales. Fairy tales can help shape us. And so, when I was growing up, I loved the fairy tales. I absolutely was a fan of them. I would look at them, and even though I didn't want to be a part of the horrible part of the story, I used to love the good part at the end and I could relate to it. Now, let me tell you something. A fairy tale generally has like a special beginning, like once upon a time. It incorporates the elements. It has a villain, which is a clearly defined bad person, a clearly defined hero or a good person, like a lost child or a woman in distress or something like that. The villain is somebody like a witch or a demon or an evil character or just a sinister character. Then there's a lot of times there's royalty versus poverty. So you'll see that play out, a poor family or, a shepherd boy or a royalty with the castle and the princes or whatever the case may be. And then they take you into a magical place. But this is where what takes you away. The ending. You know why? Because there's usually a special ending. An ending like, and they lived happily ever after. Now imagine that message being sent to a child who lives in the midst of dysfunction, who lives in the midst of abuse and trauma, and they lived happily ever after. Imagine that. And so what do? You go back and you look at the entire story and say, well, where did this happen? How do you live happily ever after? Because her prince came. I want to talk to you today about the truths and the myths, because sometimes you have to go back and tell the wounded child on purpose that was a lie. That's not true. So you said, well, love, is it because you can never have happily ever after? I'm not saying that. There is a such thing as happily ever after, but who you allow to define what happiness ever after is will greatly impact your ability to achieve it. You have to be able to say, what does happiness look like for me? Not for somebody else who draws the picture of it, but for me, what does happiness look like and where do I go to get it? Those are very, very important things that you have to look at. So I'm going to talk to you about some of the places and some of the messages the false messages, and then I'll tell you the truth about what you should be looking at. So a lot of times the first myth number one is, I will live happily ever after once my prince comes and finds me. Well, you know what? We know that carries on over into adulthood. That can actually carry over into a marriage, because if we find ourselves unhappy with our spouses, we will still be looking for our prince or our princess that we really should be with, because that's when I will live happily ever after. And so what I want to say to you is this. First of all, let me kind of tell you the truth about that particular myth. No one can find you if you don't want to be found. Okay, so being found is not just a physical appearance. Being found is the your heart. Are you even vulnerable enough to show your heart? Do you even have enough trust for somebody to see inside of you, and you believe inside of you that they would actually want what they saw? Because see, what happens is this: if trauma stamps a image, which it does, on your soul, like a tattoo. Your tattoo, if you see it on the outside, there's an image. So you look at that image and it kind of says something about something this person feels or is passionate about, or whatever the case may be. Same thing about the trauma. The trauma will stamp a tattoo of pain on your soul. And if somebody looks in there, they will see stuff. Sometimes they may see an image or an emblem or wording that says, I am not enough. I am needy. I am lonely. I will never, ever be this. Whatever the messages are that trauma stamped into you, you can sometimes be afraid for somebody to open up and actually see you. And so what do? You build walls. You have shallow relationships. You only open up so far, or you put on a mask so somebody can actually engage with the other person. But all in all, what are you trying to do? You're trying to hide the picture of your trauma. And so if when they get you, if you live with somebody long enough, they gonna see you. And so what happens? You begin to, when people begin to get so close that they see you, you begin to self-sabotage. You begin to sabotage the relationship. You begin to run because you're afraid of what they will see when they get there. So you really don't want to be found. And how does that look? That can look like your expectations are so high till it would have to be Jesus Christ who decided to come back again, not this time to die, but to marry you. And so the only person suited for what you have decided your man has to be would be him. There's got to be the perfect man. You feel like that's the only way that I can love effectively. That's the only way I can be happily ever after. And so everybody else who has flaws and faults like you, who comes and tries to get close to you, you begin to flaw find and point so that you will have a reason not to be found. And so what is your fairy tale? You are Rapunzel up in the tower and you don't have a ponytail to let them up. That's what you are. And so what you have to do is you've got to go back in there and say, hey, am I being Rapunzel without a ponytail? I know you can buy your 21, 31 inch, whatever it is. I know you can buy it, but that's still fake. What you have to do is you want to be found. And so that's one of the things. Some of you all do not want to be found because you are traumatized from past relationships. Some of you actually have PTSD associated with relationships. What you saw your parents do up in that house, some of the domestic violence, some of the traumatizing of a very serious divorce where you all went from happy to very crushed to maybe very poor to abandonment, to rejection, to disconnection. All of those things have traumatized you, and you associate relationships or marriage with that. It don't even have to be that serious, you all. You can be traumatized over being ghost. You were just ghost. And then it's like, whoa, I thought everything was good. I thought we were in a good relationship. What happened? What's wrong with me? So then inside of you, if you have that tattoo that says you're not enough, oh my God, they saw me. They saw me. What was that? I'm over it. And that's what the next move. You're not one to be found because you're over it. I cannot endure another rejection. I cannot endure another pain. I cannot endure another person who will not accept my value system and ride with me. So I'm over it. I can't go back in here again. Why? Because a breakup feels the same to your brain, because emotional pain and physical pain feels the same to your brain. So it feels the same as hot coffee being poured on you. You're like, I'm not going in for the hot coffee again. I'm not going to have it poured on top of me again. So I am over it. And therefore, you might say happily ever after when my prince comes, but you will not be there emotionally when that prince shows up. So also, you may have built your own castle where you are isolated, and because you're saying, I am not waiting for somebody to come take me to their castle, introduce me to their royal family. I'm going to build my own. You're hyper independent. I'm going to do it myself. I am not going to depend on no prince. I'm not going to depend on the horse he rides in on. I'm going to do me. And even if I do find a prince, we're going to share separate rooms. We're going to do this. We're going to have separate bank accounts. I'm going to have my castle. He's going to have his castle. Hyper independence. Why? Because you don't trust. You don't trust. You don't believe in men. Why? Because men have let you down. It could start with your dad. It could start with your ex. It could start with a broken relationship or a divorce. Whatever the case may be, when people constantly let you down, you become discouraged. The Bible says a hope deferred makes the heart sick. What does that heart sick mean? It means discouraged. What does discouraged mean? It means you take the heart out of a thing. So literally, you take your heart out of relationships. If we take your heart out of relationships, you can't have a relationship. Why? Because God says, I allow divorce. I don't like divorce, but I had to allow divorce. Why? Because of the hardening of their hearts. The hardening of their hearts. If they don't take their heart out of it, what's the use of being together? They can't fulfill my commandment upon the earth without a heart inside of it. You can't love your like I'm doing. It's not my model of marriage if your heart is not there. If you have removed your heart because you have discouraged that Johnny ain't gonna never change, because you've been with him and he's been promising and breaking promises and he ain't never changed, and you say, I'm taking my heart out of this relationship, you are not having the godly marriage. And you cannot have a relationship if you are discouraged about relationships themselves. So we build walls to try to protect our heart because we fear. We fear the prince. We hope for the prince. Somewhere inside of us, the little girl is saying, get that prince so we can live happily ever after. But the intelligent, broken woman said, oh, no. Honey, let me tell you something. You don't know about Mr. Prince. Mr. Prince has got some mess going on. He is raggedy Prince. And so therefore, you stop doing it. Now, here's what the solution is to that one. You got to have realistic expectations. 85% of relationships fail because of unrealistic expectations. We are expecting a savior, not a husband. We expect a savior. We don't want them to be transparent. We want them to be heroic. We want a hero to come in. We gotta see that marriage is a character building factory. When you sign up for marriage, you know what you sign up for? You sign up for change. You sign up for saying, okay, as you walking up that aisle in your beautiful dress, what you should be thinking is, I am really, look at the man in which I will learn patience with. Look at the man in whom I will learn to shut my mouth. Isn't that beautiful? He gonna help me shut my mouth. He is gonna help me be truthful with myself. Guess what? He is going to pull out all of the trauma of my childhood, and I'm going to be healed. What an amazing... do you accept him? I do. I do accept patience. I do accept being healed from my childhood. That's what you walk up the aisle and say. And anything else is not your mind right. You got to get your mind right when it comes to relationships. So what do? You enter in soberly, understanding that we are building legacy. And the goal is that our family will not create tattoos of trauma, but tattoos of happy memory, tattoos of godliness. Like Abraham, we will teach our children not dysfunctional relationship skills, but we will teach our children godliness and how to move forward. Let's go to myth number 2. So the my prince will come and find me. That's a myth. However, that person who God will send and you will connect with, and teach you how to grow and be healthy emotionally, spiritually, physically, that's who you're looking for. Myth number 2, a good woman can change an angry, abusive beast of a man just by loving him and making him a new gentleman. You all, first of all, you could spend the whole life 24/7 just changing yourself. I promise you, you don't have power to change someone else unless they want to. People will not change unless they decide to change. And guess what? Statistics have shown that nagging does not create a person's desire to change. A lot of times, you know what it is? It is a revelation, say a godly revelation that they receive, or some kind of tragedy that they have received, like a death or somebody or a sickness or some kind of crisis will wake them up and say, I gotta make a change on this thing. And so it won't be you. You could be your prayers, but it won't be just you nagging and not accepting, baiting and switching. You saw it when before you married it, you said, yes, I will love it. My love covers it. And then once you baited it, you switch and say, okay, now here's the list that I'm giving you that you need to do to change so that you can match what I need in order to love you unconditionally. And so what I'm saying to you is this. What happens is you've got to be careful about going in and trying to think you can change somebody, because that could be the codependency inside of you. That's that person who says, I will fix that person. Why? Because if you're codependent, you get to fix somebody and you get to forget. That gives you a great distraction on working on you. You just sit there and work on somebody else. You're the caretaker. And sometimes that stuff can come up because you always took care of people. You have to take care of your mother, your mother, because she was out there on drugs. You have to father your mother because she brought men in there and they were not good to her. You may have had to jump in front of fights and people who want to do things to her. Sometimes you've had to wife your father because he was alcoholic or he just was irresponsible and you had to take care of. Sometimes you had to be the mother to your siblings. All of these things, these caretakers that were created from the beginning, and then they begin to just take it into the relationships. And so what you have to do is make sure that you don't take a codependent spirit of getting somebody who needs you. Why? Because you don't believe that somebody would want you. So if you make enough money and they don't make enough money and they're out on their luck or just down and out, then you come help them up. They have to stay there. Because why? They don't have nowhere to go. They don't have any credit. So be careful that you are not selecting people who need you and not want you because you don't believe that you are good enough for somebody to want. Why? Because if daddy wouldn't fight for me, why would anybody else? If mama wouldn't get off drugs for me, why would anybody else? I am convinced from my ex that nobody wants me but him, and he left me, so nobody else will. So make sure the messages that are inside of you do not tell you somehow the little girl is telling you, hey, you can change that beast. You can change that abuser. You can change that person, because that is a lie. What is the solution? You need to speak truth to yourself. You need to make sure that you believe what your eyes are seeing. Know when you are in a crisis, because sometimes we can normalize dysfunction We will normalize the fact that we are in a crisis and not realize, hey, guess what? Crisis requires change. Crisis requires shift. When 9/11 happened, it required us to travel in a whole different way. It required us to take off shoes and all kinds of stuff, and then it became normal. And now we are in a crisis. It requires masks, and for some, it becomes normal. But when you are in a crisis and you're in a home, see, now when we go in the second wave, you know, people are saying, I'm kind of numb to it the second time around because I just move on. Why? This is how quickly we can normalize dysfunction. This is how quickly we can just accept what is that is not supposed to be normalized. And what have you normalized in your home that was never supposed to be normalized? The way you emasculate, that is never was supposed to be normalized. The way you lie or he lies to you, that was never supposed to be normalized. The way he is a serial cheater or you're a serial cheater, never supposed to be normalized. But yet, we have normalized it because this is what we've seen. And so what we have to do, you don't normalize it. You see it, you seek help, and you get better. This should be a continuous quality improvement effort in relationship for the rest of your life. Any company that does not have a good quality assurance department will always fall short. You gotta be constantly self-assessing, even if if you look like success, then guess what? You still need to be saying, was there anywhere that we could have missed it and taken it up a notch? In your relationships, in yourself, you should always be continuously producing quality and saying, where can I grow and improve next? Where can our marriage take it up a notch? My husband and I do a yearly retreat where we examine our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, our threats, so we can see where are some areas that are could threaten our relationship. Where are I've been married 37 years, and I'm telling you, there's always a new way. At my age, there's a new way that can threaten because we can become complacent. There's so many opportunities at childbirth, at the kids' teenage years, when it's time for them to go off to college. There are opportunities, there are weaknesses, there are threats, there are strengths. You got to know it. After this pandemic, you got to know, what were the strengths of our relationship and our marriage? What did we do right? What did we do wrong? What did it expose about us? You got to take that to the next level, which actually leads me perfectly into my last point, which is myth number 4 is, I'm going to number 3 first. Okay, number 3 was, just because he's a bad boy who completely lied about who he was in order to get me, doesn't mean that I can't commit to a future with him. A bad boy lied about everything he is, totally presented this false image, and he did it because he wanted me. So let's look at that. You know what that is? That is absolutely selfishness. That means I will do whatever I need to do to get what I want. What happens when he needs sex outside of marriage? You are making covenants with liars. How can you make a covenant with a liar? If a person is prone to do whatever they need to do to selfishly get what they want, then you will always be the person who is the victim of that person, because they will not be they are not committed to you. They are committed to themselves. When any betrayal, there is a choice you have to make. You have to choose yourself or you have to choose the other person. When somebody decides to lie to you constantly, to betray you, they are choosing themselves. And that same spirit of selfishness will carry straight over after the altar. And after they say, I do, and commit, unless they work on themselves, unless there is a change, an intentional change. I'm not talking about time heals all wounds. Let me tell you something. Time does not heal all wounds. Ask a person with fourth stage cancer if time heals all wounds. It does not. Ask a person who is emotionally in fourth stage if time heals all wounds. As a matter of fact, it can make it worse. You got to make sure that that person is intentionally trying to work on themselves. And so people always say, oh, what about potential? Potential that's just sitting there has no potential at all unless you see somebody not just as a manipulation factor trying to get to you, but as a means of I am dedicated and I value growth emotionally. I value healing. If that is one of their value systems, as opposed to a manipulation tactic, if that is their value system, that's what they want to do to continue to be able to love you correctly, not to get you to love them, then that's a healthy thing. All right? So make sure that you do not believe that you can go get this bad boy who is not trying to be a good boy, self-motivated, working on himself, trying to be healed, and you can see the fruit of that, and it is consistent, and thinking that somehow you have some kind of magical power to change somebody. Use all the magic, which I don't believe in, but use all the power of God and allow yourself to be yielded to so that God can change you. Okay? And this is the last one. The last one is, I need a kiss from a prince to give me a do-over. I need a kiss from a prince to wake me up from my death and give me a do-over. You know, as I look at 2020, and we're in our last month of 2020, 2020 has absolutely revealed to us some things that we just did not know. It's given clarity, 2020 vision to us. And, you know, it has brought clarity to our marriages. It's brought clarity to our mental health. It has brought clarity to our churches and our government and our school systems and our children's. The state of all those things have been absolutely exposed to us clearly during 2020. And as a result, it has produced a lot of anxiety. It has revealed the social injustice. It has revealed, e-learning has revealed to some of you all the condition of your children, their education style, even what they do in this classroom. It's revealed a lot of stuff. And so what has happened is you are looking like, I need a do-over from this. This has opened up so much stuff until a lot of things have died in me. My drive it's been so long. It's been a year of suffering. My drive for just really, because of the uncertainty, I don't know what's going to happen. I have lived without a relationship. I have had to deal with depression. I have had to deal with anxiety. I have had to look at toxic people in my life and see, like, that person is toxic. That person is not for me. That person it will rejoice with me, but they will not. They will mourn with me, but they will not rejoice with me. That person is jealous of me. This can go not just into romantic relationships. You may have seen friendships and parental relationships, all of that stuff just exposed to you, and you're like, take me away from this. I need a distraction. I need a prince to come, marry me, take me into a different alternative universe where I can just be happily ever after this traumatic thing. Well, let me tell you all something. First of all, as I mentioned before, crisis requires change. The do-over that you are looking for has to come from you. The biggest thing that 2020 should have showed you is your level of self-love. You know, Dr. Anita, her husband, preached a sermon, and in the sermon, he gave this analogy, and it just struck me. He said, your slip is hanging. Let me tell you something. When we were growing up in church, We had to wear a slip, first of all. Now, I know y'all wear sundresses without slips. We had to wear a slip. We had to wear pantyhose. We had to cover our arms, all this kind of stuff. But you know what? This is what would happen. A lot of times the ladies, as they marching up the choir, or they walking around, or they go up to walk around for offering or stuff like that, you would look down and they'd be dressed cute, like in their heels, and think they going. But then you look down and you see, they slip is hanging. And so you try to get, I've had people like tap me as I'm walking thinking I'm cute, and they, sister, your slip is hanging. Now that's embarrassing. But let me tell you something. Some of y'all slip was hanging. You saw it in 2020. You done seen some slips. And what's underneath some of this stuff that y'all have been through, some of the anxiety, what's underneath your drive to be busy, what's underneath your need, not want, your need for a man, your slip is hanging. Because it has shown that you don't love yourself. So you are looking for external love. You are looking for external validation. It has shown what's underneath. The stuff that we wasn't supposed to see, we seeing it. The stuff that you thought we would never see, you are seeing it. And so what you have to do is begin to look. Now, you'll want to kind of pretend it's not happening. You'll want to, but you know what? What you have to do when your slip is hanging, you can't all the time fix it right in front of people. You have to move to the side, go find a private place, a washroom or something, and go to pulling stuff up, pulling stuff behind. If it's a half slip, you can raise it a little bit, but then you got to look in the mirror. You've got to stop and look at yourself and say, where was my slip hanging in 2020? Where was it's hanging in my relationship? What did I see? Was it a raggedy slip? Was the lace torn? Was it raggedy in the area of your love life? Was it raggedy in the area of you taking time to yourself? Was it raggedy in the area of you thinking you're not good enough? What does your slip look like? What's underneath the beautiful clothes and the Louis Vuitton bags and all the expensive things? What's behind that beautiful brand on IG? What is behind all of that business success? What's the slip that we're looking at? What you have to do is make sure that you address the slip. You got to get help. Sometimes you got to get somebody to help you pull that slip up. Somebody to adjust it in the washroom and say, here, let's pull up, give you a safety pin so your slip won't be hanging. I want to encourage you all that in this, as you move forward in your relationship, that you are able to decipher toxicity, what's toxic and what's not. It's so important that you understand that. Also, one of the biggest things lessons you should learn in 2020, when it comes to wanting somebody to come and give you a do-over. The do-over, as I mentioned, comes from yourself. It cannot be desired from other people to affirm you and create an image of you. You must create that image of yourself through the word of God, through healing, because trauma distorts how you see yourself. You cannot continue to see yourself in that way, but that requires healing. That requires sitting in somebody's chair. That requires prayer. That requires revelation. That requires being in the word. A lot of times you'll find is we are trying to hear the words well done from people who have not done well. And when we are trying to seek the affirmations of people, whether it be our parents, whether it be our coworkers, whether it be a job or a business, if we are trying to constantly seek affirmation from people, who are not doing well. A lot of times when we don't get it, we will once again turn on ourselves. Your slip is hanging. If you are turning on yourself, if you are attributing somebody else's bad behavior to yourself, if every time somebody goes ghost, you just thinking it's gotta be me. Maybe it's the coward in them. Maybe it's because they don't have enough integrity. If somebody cheats on you, maybe it's their selfishness. I'm not saying you're perfect, but I am saying that if your first attitude is to turn on yourself because of somebody else's bad behavior, you don't love yourself, and you need to see your slip is hanging. Sometimes people will not affirm you and tell you you are doing well because your success can highlight their failures. So they are not even trying to give you affirmation. And so that can happen in couples, that can happen in parents, that can happen in friends. People will not affirm you. Why? Because your highlights, your success is a mirror to their failures. Your success can trigger fear of abandonment in them. What is fear of abandonment in them? They fear you're going to get so high till you're going to leave them, because they never felt that they had the glue to keep you anyway. And so if that is a relationship you have, you will often see criticism. People who are putting you down all along. Why? Because they were trying to keep you down. Why? So you can keep you on my level, so I can stay in control of your level of success. The next thing is your success can provoke anger of injustice. They might figure, this ain't fair, God. I've been serving you. I've been keeping myself pure. I've been not having sex, and she been out there fighting and bopping, and she walking up the aisle with the husband. That ain't fair. So they will not say well done. They will not affirm you. Why? Because they don't figure it's not fair. I deserve that, not her. And then they can withhold affirmation for passive aggressive reasons. They want to deprive you. They want to humble you. They don't want to give it to you. The Bible says not to withhold good to those that you're able to, but they want to withhold it from you because they want you to suffer. They know you want it, and they have the power to give it to you, and they should honor you, but they will not. And finally, withholding affirmation may be a form of emotional abuse. And sometimes the person is emotionally abusive in that relationship. You got to get your mind right. You are seeking affirmation. You are seeking relationship. You are seeking attention from people who don't even mean you well. You got to get your mind right, make the necessary choices, and to choose self-love. The do-over that you need will be done by you with the help of God, with the help of a counselor, with the help of a therapist. That's where you will get your do-over. And so I just want to end. I think it's time for questions and answers now. So if you have any questions or answers, you are welcome to. There we are.
Hey, love.
Hey there.
So I am here to read any questions that come up in the chat for you so you can teach. So ladies, have your way. They have been in here. There's like 4 of us at the church, and they have been yelling and screaming. Oh, wait, here comes Kim. Ma'am, if you can see me call now. Hi, ma'am. Listen, I won't look. I'll ask the first one since they being shy. Let's talk about this potential thing, because you said let's rewind back about the thing about potential. Can you reiterate that for me?
Say that again.
Can you reiterate? So as a success, one of the things I love about you is as successful as you are, you and your husband, 37 years. And for so many women, to your point, you said the world will make us believe that we can't have it all. And sometimes you can feel as what the world will call an alpha female, that by sheer nature of who you are, you make the man feel less than. How do you balance that? Even though I don't believe in that word balance, but how do you manage that?
That is a
well?
great, absolutely great question. The first thing you have to do is make sure that your husband, which my husband is very secure, he wants me to be great. He promotes me to be great. Literally, like, you won't see him sitting here, but he has been, even for this particular setting, he's behind the scenes, making sure everything is okay and all that kind of stuff. Now, here's the thing about that. First of all, it has to be, know the character of the person that you're with. But second of all, my business and my relationship is not the same. I am Love McPherson, Tony's wife, when I get home. I'm not some celebrity. I'm not somebody who he's supposed to be catering to. I am his wife. And so I understand that no matter how far I go, no matter how much I'm exposed, no matter how much money I make, when I come home, there is a hierarchy in my home that I submit to. Okay. And he is the leader, and I am his wife. Thank God he has a servant leadership style. Thank God he has a team leadership style where he puts me together. He loves my advice. He values what I bring to the table, so he does not have a subjugated behavior. But what we have to do is this: we have to know that innate in a man is his knowledge that he is supposed to reign, that he was created to lead. And when we emasculate that, we actually emasculate the leadership and imprison it in a relationship that he's crying to get out. Now, he will use other ways to try to get out of that imprisonment. Some will use infidelity. Some will use passive aggressiveness. Some will just submit to it. Some will actually strategize their way to get out of the cell that you have placed them in. And they will be very strategic about it. And so what you want to know, though, if you imprison them into a place that they were not created to be in, and that they are feeling that they have been forced to be into because of your words, because of your behavior, because of your independence, because of whatever you do, if you begin to do that as a woman, just know that you will reap that particular man as your non-leader.
That's good. Okay, I love when people ask you this question. I've heard someone ask you it before. What do you recommend to be delivered from a situationship?
You know what? The only way to be delivered from a situationship is self-love. That really is. And this is what you have to do. You have to not abandon your core values. What is it that you want? Because your values are who you are. You can't just go and abandon who you are for somebody else. So if you say, I want a committed relationship and events that leads to marriage and a family, but somebody offers you a friends with benefits, a +2 every now and then, a shush, you my mistress, you the side chick. If somebody offers you that, and that's not what you want, and that's not what you value, guess what you have to do? You literally have to abandon yourself. You have to reject yourself. You have to abuse yourself in order to accept and receive them. So once you do that, you turn on you. That's a situation much deeper than just a man. If you turn on yourself like that, a lot of times you've already been conditioned to turn on yourself because you've seen that in your home, you've seen that somewhere else, or you don't feel worthy of what you even desire.
That's good. Next question. What advice do you have for someone who feels they're always helping and supporting, but never get it back in return?
I would say this. A lot of times people who are enablers and codependent, that is one of the symptoms of that. They actually give way more than they invest way more than other people who give back to them, and they complain while doing it. But yet it fulfills something inside of them as they're doing it. And so you got to say, what's in it for you for real, for real? Is it because now you can be the villain and you can show people, you can get attention by how much I just fall on the sword? Or are
Mm-hmm.
you deceived into believing that you can go back and receive from the same place that needed you to give? And this is what I mean. A lot of times what people will do is, especially in friendships, you got to know what kind of friend you have. They will give
Mm-hmm.
and take care. That person will call and say, hey, can you help me with $200? Oh, my kids, I'm trying to move and I don't have it. And you always in there just helping, taking care of them. Then you go into a crisis. Like after 2 years or a year of doing all that, you go into a crisis. You've been knowing this person for a long time. And all of a sudden somebody died or some crisis happened and they don't show up. They won't come for you because that's not your relationship with them. You are trying to receive from the place that you have established that they are takers and you are a giver. You can't take from takers. You only give to takers. And that's male, whether that's your mother, whether that's your father, whether that's your mate, or whether that's your friend. You can't take from takers because takers take from you. So know what that is and don't try to fill it. And so if you know that's a taker, why are you investing in a taker and then some kind of way expecting to receive something back?
That's good.
I think
That's
I heard
good.
First Lady.
Next question. Yeah, you did hear her yelling. And look, and I'm trying, I'm usually interviewed, so I'm trying not to interview because I want to be like, but what, your friends is different levels of accent, but I'm gonna let it you go live on the next week. Y'all follow Love. I'm gonna send a live request to her.
Question when you're talking about friendship levels of access, right? Is that what you're saying? You know what I do with friendships? You should look at it like the temple in the Old Testament. You have the outer court. That's everybody show up at the outer courts, right? The inner courts were the Levites. That's where they were intimate. They gave worship. They were a little bit of closeness. But then there was the Holy of Holies. You got to come correct into the Holy of Holies. Right. And not everybody has access to that degree. A lot of times we say, oh, we're supposed to give people unconditional love. But God is never giving you unconditional relationship. He will give you unconditional love. But you don't get unconditional relationship. You got to come correct. He tell you how to enter. He tell you how to leave. He tell you how to wake up. And so in relationship with him, because he is holy, in relationship with you, those people need to be able to come correct. And you need to, if you want to be in their holy of holies, you need to come correct too. You got to submit to it. Or don't be in it. That's so good. Oh, I'm done.
That's good. That's good. Next question. How do you let go of trust issues and how do you start to trust again?
You know where trust issues start? Trust issues start with yourself. You don't trust yourself. Even in infidelity, what happens is this. The first relationship that goes is the relationship you have with yourself, because this is what you start thinking. How was I sucker punched to that degree? How did I not know that? How did I not see it? So you begin to doubt that you are even able to discern what's happening right around you. If it's a relationship that person was totally deceptive and married or something like that, you're like, I don't trust my pickers. If you are in a divorce and you just know you heard from God and you know that you saw the white doves in the room when y'all said I do, and you a prophet and God telling you about everybody else's stuff, and you can't even know about your own
interpret
stuff.
tongues and everything.
Issues start right here. You don't trust you. So what happens is this. Once you trust you, because love trusteth all things, but love don't trust the people. Love trusts the God that say, hey, honey, let me tell you something. You don't love me, that's fine. Because when you pack your love up and leave, I still got love because I love me. And God loves me. You begin to trust that I will be fine. No matter what, I will not take your bad behavior and place it on myself. I will self-assess. I will examine, but I will not allow your infidelity, your dishonesty, your betrayal, your bad behavior. I will not take your stuff and dump it on me as though I did something to you. And you will not turn it around to act like I did. You will not say, because I found that in your phone, you will not tell me how terrible I am of a person because I saw it.
That's good. Next question. How do I deal with the toxic relationship with my mom? I fasted and prayed and I'm ready to cut her off, but I keep coming back. I feel like she's my responsibility.
Okay, so what has happened is you have been conditioned to guilt. And if your mother is toxic, you've got to see that, sweetheart, your mama's slip is hanging. And your slip is hanging too, because if you have normalized toxicity and you keep pulling into toxicity, that same spirit of high tolerance for toxicity, you will see that and it will not stop with your mother. It will go straight into your love and romantic relationships. You will see it show up, and eventually with your children's relationship, that high tolerance for toxicity is an unhealed behavior that has to do with she has convinced you that this is all you get and all you deserve. And you will pull that plate up to your face and eat it like it's gold.
Scrolling, they got so many comments.
Like it's a Thanksgiving meal. That's
people
better
just stay in here. Yes, you feeding them so good. Someone said they have a hard time taking from others. They're always giving. They don't like accepting help because of disappointment.
So what you're doing is you're trying to manage your disappointment. But what you can't manage your disappointment, because that's the opposite of love. You are operating in fear. You fear being hurt, and you fear the hot coffee being poured on you. You have been traumatized by a relationship. You probably have PTSD regarding relationship, because what PTSD does is it is a constant state of fear. You feel imminent danger all around you. Even when people are trying to be nice to you and give to you, because you're so giving, you rape them of the opportunity to give back to you, those who are good. Why? Because you don't believe you deserve it. You only see yourself on the giving end of things. Why? Because then I can manage what happens. If I don't expect, I won't have the disappointment. But let me tell you all something. If that is how you see yourself, you don't trust you that you deserve it. You don't trust you that you will attract it. You don't trust you that you will keep it. You have to trust you. And if you cannot receive love, you can't truly receive God, because God is love. Satan has talked you out of believing love is a good thing. You have associated love with pain. And therefore, God eventually, underneath your mask, God is associated with some pain. Because let me tell you something. In these love relationships, in these dating relationships, y'all will give him your tithes. You will give him everything. What you want? My time in the morning? What you want? My time at night? You want me to serve on this thing? What I won't give you, God, I won't give you my relationships. Why? Because you ain't did a good job in that area. You've been messing up, God. I don't know what happened, but that ain't an area I'm gonna hand you, because I really thought that last guy, who was from the church, by the way, who was the preacher that everybody clapping for and everybody hurrahing for, but I know behind the scenes, and I thought you sent him for me because I prayed for it, and he came. You let me down, God. I'm not gonna hand you my relationship, but you can have my tithes and my offering.
I need you to elaborate on that one. I mean, I feel like you left us with a cliffhanger. Okay, so because are we allowed to say that to God? I mean, come help us out.
No, we don't say it to God. We just do it to God.
Oh, see, that's the clarification that was required.
We do it to God. We do it. Just tell the truth and shame the devil. Because let me tell you something. If you really trusted God, you'd go back in with confidence, trusting. You don't trust. You know why? That's why you build walls. That's why you say, I'm over it. I don't want no relationship. I don't want this. Satan has talked you out of love because he has convinced you that love equals pain.
Next question. After you acknowledge the dysfunction that you've normalized, how do you move to changing it?
You have to be honest. You have to go. And let me tell you something. Forgiveness doesn't just happen for other people. Some people have not forgiven God. Some people are angry with God and yet serving you and preaching to you. yet prophesying to you, but they are angry with God, they are disappointed with God because they feel they have been openly shamed from a God they trusted and prayed to, and he let them down in relationships. They believed in this marriage. They wouldn't have went in if they didn't feel that this was the right thing to do. What they don't realize is this: you cannot control somebody's soul. Not even God touches a person's soul. What is your soul? Your will. God gives us free will. He says, I put before you life and death. I'll give you the answer to the quiz. Choose life. But if you choose death, he ain't going to try to stop you. He will go and die on the cross and do a whole thing. And yet people will reject him, or they will accept him, tell everybody about him, and then say, I changed my mind. I don't really like you like that, and go back. Yet somehow we believe that people who God allows in our life won't do the same to us. Somehow we can control their soul and control their will. And now, but that's the relationship you with her. I'm going to control your will on that one. Now, I ain't going to control about whether you get to heaven or hell. I ain't going to control about whether you pay your tithes, offers, or whatever. I ain't going to control none of that stuff, but I'm going to control. I'm going to take over your will and make you love your wife, make you love that your husband. Yo, it don't work like that. We got to realize.
No, that's good. Next question.
So what you have to do is realize that this is not, the person has their own free will. You know that going in, and you have your own free will too. You know what you can do. You know going in, this is what can happen. You understand the risk of this as you move forward. You believe God, you pray for the person, but you don't take it and place their choices as something you need to control.
Good. Last question that we'll take for today. You guys make sure you follow Love. How can they follow you, Love?
They can follow me on, first of all, on social media.
Or Tiffany.
You can follow me on Instagram. I'm Love_McPherson. You can follow me go to my website, which is lovemcpherson.com. That's easy, lovemcpherson.com. You can book a session there, individual, couple sessions, family sessions. I even have girlfriend sessions where, even siblings that are, so any kind of relationship, you can actually work. I will work with you. And then I conduct a group every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8 o'clock p.m. And if you can't make it, then we'll get access 24/7 to the taping. And you can sign up for that on my website at lovemcpherson.com. But you can also go directly there to www.dothework.today. Dothework.today, not .com. dothework.today.
Is that for singles and couples?
Absolutely.
Love?
Absolutely. It's a really good time on those on the group. And you can be anonymous. You don't have to, and people are chatting live. So I get the questions, and Tiffany is right here with me, making sure I answer the question. We do interactive. It's very interactive. You can name yourself whatever you name yourself. If you want to be anonymous, you don't have to show up on the screen or any of that stuff. But we have a really good time on Tuesday nights. You'd like that. It's very affordable, and I did that on purpose. A very affordable rate for a group healing.
Awesome. And we got one more question, but then I'm also going to give her another plug. She don't pay me for this plug, but I have a few of her books, and they have blessed me so much. And so make sure when you're on her website that you look at the books, you purchase the books, because the books, they're phenomenal. And so definitely do that. The last question that we'll take, and then we will let you go into the panel. Where do you start if you are the taker, have had a victim mentality in relationships, but want to give and be a better party in relationships going forward?
I would really strongly suggest you start in therapy or counseling, coaching, or something where you can actually learn from where that came from. Because a lot of times the taker spirit, it comes from so much more than just I want. It comes from sometimes feelings of deprivation, feelings of, I was of injustice. A lot of times what you see that taker is associated with neglect, where a person had to take care of themselves. They figured, I can't trust anybody since a childhood to meet my needs. So therefore, I've got to meet my own needs, and by whatever means necessary. So they have never been conditioned to look at anybody else's needs, to look around and say, who needs something? Why? Because nobody even modeled that, like looking around to say who needs something. Nobody was concerned about what they felt. Nobody was concerned about what they need. They were at 5 years standing over the stove cooking chicken or whatever, trying to meet their own needs. And so what I'm saying to you is, if there has been neglect, you will see that as a byproduct or a symptom of that often, not always, but sometimes you will see that as a symptom. And you'll also see that in the areas of sex. You'll see that in the areas of other things where they just feel like, I got to get mine. And so what you have to do is go back and look and see if there's some areas in your life where you felt like, hey, neglect privileges, like, you know how they say white privileges or whatever. You feel privileged. It's a sense of entitlement that I should get because I was deprived.
That's good. Well, guys, let's thank Love for being here with us and blessing us. The First Lady. She's going to be back with us for the panel. You guys now have an hour break. There's going to be music playing in the background, so you can keep your computer open, and we will be back at 1 p.m. sharp with Pastor Melvin Henderson. You don't want to miss that. We're talking fear. So go ahead, have your lunch, and then come on back. All right. Thank you. Bye, Love. Bye, Tiffany. I know you're in the back.